This time, I'm going to bring the Greater Clark County School Board of Trustee meeting to order for September 24, 2024. Just Markowski, if you know that Kevin Paul is not here, Katie Hutchinson will be here shortly. At this time, would you all stand with me, please, and say the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first item will be the approval of the agenda. Board, I move that we approve the agenda as presented. Could I please have a second? Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed and abstaining. The next would be public comments. I believe we do have public comments tonight. If you would come up and say your name, state your address, and have that.
Well, the first one's Heather. Is Heather here? Or no? You're okay, because I do not think she's here.
Are you sure?
Yep,
Okay.
yeah. We have to say it. Just in case.
No.
You can help us.
Yeah, I had to, yeah, it's been a while. Let's be honest. My name is Jared Platt. I live at 609 Tristan Trail in Jeffersonville. I'm here as a parent of a middle schooler in this district. As some of you know, I used to write about local schools here and there. I've seen school districts and taxpayers duke it out over all kinds of politicized issues over the last decade. Vouchers have hurt public schools and students who need the most support. Referenda have been highly divisive, even when buildings are crumbling. And the idea of giving students lunch without charging them has become politicized somehow. Some people call it just another government handout. Some of the adults get tied up in the dollars and cents associated with these issues, but we have to keep the health and safety of our students at the forefront. Tonight, I want to put a spotlight on a more urgent matter where the adults need to find the courage to do the right thing. On September 4th at Appalachia High School in Georgia, 2 students and 2 teachers were killed by a 14-year-old who was investigated by the FBI last year for threatening violence at a school. His father gave him a semi-automatic rifle after that federal investigation. Then that student snuck it onto the bus, into the school, and killed and hurt people. I'm sure that news shook you just as much as it shook me. Here are the raw numbers. 33 K-12 school shootings this year. 13 more on college campuses. More than 400 school shootings since Columbine in 1999. And just 12 days ago, on September 12th, Parkview Middle School and River Valley Middle School were threatened. I appreciate the superintendent's response to parents and Jeff PD's offer of officers on campus. But after what happened in Uvalde, Texas 2 years ago, I decided it wasn't worth rolling the dice on my 12-year-old's life and kept him home that day. I'm lucky I had that option, and I know many parents simply didn't. I can't imagine how uneasy they felt saying goodbye to their kids that morning. After Sandy Hook, I saw school districts in this county suggest that solving the issue of school shootings was going to be taken care of by having more guns present in elementary, middle, and high schools. They suggested training an armed teacher or keeping an AR-15 on campus. Not this district, by the way. I don't think any school board member suggested people talk to local legislators about serious gun reform that can actually protect our kids. I know this board used to keep placards here urging members to make the best decisions possible for kids. Maybe you still do. I'm here to say that parents, educators, administrators, and school board members should do just that by supporting candidates with the courage to stand up to those who say that guns aren't the problem. Because I can assure you that the problem most certainly is the guns.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we will have the major funds monitoring report. Laura, you there? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you, Board. This is your fund balances as of August 31st, 2024.
Again?
Your education fund, you see that your ending balance is $11,198,000. It seems that it's a little bit lower than last year. This is the process of where funding and enrollment starts settling in, and new contracts come in, and we're trying to make sure that we get everything done. That's when all that starts up in August. Our operations fund ending balance is $5,349,000. You see that's up a couple million, so we're doing very well. From last year of $3 million. Debt service has a cash balance of $6.7 million, up from $4.6 million last year. And your pension fund, we still have this year, the last payment, and we're getting excited about that, is going to be at the end of this year, December 31st. So we will collect our property taxes for the last time on that debt and make that final payment. So you see that the cash balance is depleting because we're going to be the end of life on that remittance schedule. And then your rainy day is still sustaining a $10.6 million balance, which is, congratulations, up from $6.1 million from last year. I'll entertain any questions regarding the healthiness of this school.
Board?
What's our goal for the rainy day funds? Is it
And
15?
so this high school district, you know, I've always said between 10 and 16 million is a rate. If we get 10 to 12 million, we're very happy, right? So what I'm not doing is pushing in as hard. I don't have to push in as hard. So if there's uncommitted cash, I will put in increments of June and December without hurting any other balance in the other funds. But in the meantime, looking at our enrollment and where we're really going to be in October and what kind of funds to generate, so that when we do go and have those conversations about health insurance rates increasing, we discussed that with Samantha Pierce, who leads up our health insurance committee, and we talked to the committee on that. We're not implementing such a hard rate on that because that's a healthy cash balance that I do take care of as well. So that way the impact's not so big on our employees. Begin our negotiation with all of our teams that we have that do work with great practice company on. So that way, once you hit that level, then you don't have to go in and as hard. We have agreed to keep 8 to 10% cash balance. That is what is suggested. The UF has gone as far as lower right that you keep 30%. It's unrealistic. You still have to run school, you can't keep. So we definitely collectively have met that goal, but individually, we're going to continue to adjust to our size and still provide for our employees. Remember, cash in the classroom.
Okay, at this point, we have 2 public hearings. I'm going to restate here. Greater Parks required to hold a public hearing on the 2025 corporation budget. If you desire to comment after the presentation, you should do the following once instructed that comments can be made. Raise your hand when recognized, come forward to the podium, state your name for the record, and then provide your comments. I'd like to have the presentation at this time.
So the board, you have been presented the 2025 balance. Our assessed value did go up 8.11%. I am advertising an 8% increase. And I will be advertising a high rate, which is $1.55, which allows us to go down to $1.10. If I go too low, you can't bring it back up. So we're not too low. We're right within our fiscal responsibility in correcting and meeting our corrective action plans on our building needs and providing school buildings for students that are coming into the district at the $1.10 rate on that 5-year plan that we've presented to you. So that is shown in the 25 budget. Go to the next. In your packet, this is a summary. You saw the top half where I'm advertising that tax rate where we anticipate it to be, which is $1.10, which was the last, I'm starting my 5th year, so I've done 6 or 7 of the budgets, right? We have remaining at $1.10 without increasing that tax rate. And then the appropriations as such, which is the authority to spend. Now, you did specifically ask about rainy day, and you noticed that the appropriation is considerably less than what the cash is. Okay, I'm asking only the authority from the Department of Local Government Finance, it's not a taxing fund, that just in case I need to pay something out and get reimbursed in some fashion, or we have something that is rainy day qualified. I'm only asking for, I need to see if they're 5 million. 5 million, yes. So, we are growing and providing for the entire school district at the right pace. We've been in sessions over the School Board Association and listening to the things that other schools are struggling with their tax rates. We are approaching this very, very strategically, fairly, and the timing to meet what we need. So this will be the budget I'll be advertising. I mean, I will be submitting to Jeff, who will be answering questions on the budget if anybody has any. But I'll entertain any questions from the board before we do the vote.
Okay, I have a question. Just out of curiosity, I was at a meeting this morning. How much money do we lose in vouchers?
So the voucher system has been increased over the years based on income need of the parent. And it used to focus in on schools that were initially not performing and giving the parents a choice to send them to another school, private, parochial. And that threshold of income has increased. Now, most in the state of Indiana, 70% of students were already attending private parochial. You know, there's so many students in the state of Indiana. So 70% of those across the state have been attending already, regardless of getting a subsidy or some financial support. So
Are you saying 70% of our students went to?
not just ours, in the state of Indiana. The state of Indiana.
70% of the students that are getting a voucher
Right.
were already in a voucher.
Yeah, that, okay.
So
And without the subsidy.
To put it bluntly, the whole voucher program has essentially become nothing more than a tax break for the wealthy that were already sending their kids to private school.
Yes, thank you.
So if vouchers did not exist, the state of Indiana would save money in their own budget that would be available for public education. And for Greater Clark alone, that's over $4.6 million. That's just Greater Clark. So the DOE has a report, a voucher report, and some are in the $20 to $30 million. You know, so there's a lot of money that is invested in the voucher program that comes from, it doesn't come from us. It's not like, oh, you would have had the $4.6 million to spend. It is in the state budget who has that budget themselves. And when they do calculate how much money is available for public education, all that budget is taken a look at, just like we look at our individual funds. And so when they need to distribute out, you know, they have to commit to what they said. Now, if you make a certain dollar threshold, now you can get a subsidy, a voucher. Now that's not available to schools across the state of Indiana. That's basically how that works.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to get that out there.
Well, it's, you know, you got me going, so now I gotta say something about it. Because it's a topic in my mind that I can't let go. You know, the vouchers 15, 20 years ago were created in Indiana to improve student outcomes. And you never hear our legislators talking about that anymore. It's all about choice and whose choice, you know, obviously it's more the school choice, not the parent choice, and who they pick or who they allow to come into their schools. But this whole idea of, it originally was intended to improve student outcomes, but when you look at the outcome data now, it's not. After 15 to 20 years of choice and vouchers, there's no evidence that it's improved school data or outcomes at all. Yet they keep pushing this agenda, and rumors are that there's going to be legislation for ESAs, educational savings accounts, where they're going to pour even more money into this. without any data or evidence that shows that it's working. So it really, to me, it makes no sense why they're doing what they're doing. But the other thing I want, can you go back to the other slide? Because I think it's important to know another thing that people like to attack public schools over is that anytime property taxes go up, it's always the school's fault. You know, and that simply is not the case. 5 years ago, we created a 5-year facility plan to get a tremendous amount of work done in this district, and we committed to keeping the tax rate at $1.10. And as you can see on this chart, in 21, 22, 23, 24, and now in 25, it will be $1.10. And so I want to refute that narrative that it's the school district's fault that tax rates going up or taxes are going up. We've kept our tax rate the same for the last 5 years and we'll continue to do that in the future. Hopefully, we've had great partners with Steve Full and Thomas Peterson and policy analytics people we've worked with that have helped us do this, and we feel like we can continue to do it in the future. So just wanted to note that in the budget.
Okay, hearing that and those comments, at this time I'm opening the comment portion of this meeting up to those interested in making comments. If you'd like to make a comment regarding the 2025 corporation budget, please raise your hand. When you're recognized, come forward to the podium, state your name and provide your comments. Okay. If no one desires to make a comment at this time, I'm going to close this public hearing and we will move on to the next public hearing. It would be the 1028 and preliminary determination hearing. Greater Park is required to hold a public hearing for the 1028 and preliminary determination hearing. If you desire to comment after the presentation, you should do the following. Once you're instructed that comments can be made, raise your hand, pretty much the same as before. When you're recognized, come forward. State your name for the record and provide your comments. At this point, though, for the presentation, I'm going to invite Matt from Steeple to come on up and tell us what you got.
Good evening, Matt Shoemaker, Steeple. Great to see you all again this afternoon. So, same presentation that we had a couple weeks ago. So I'll walk through that quickly and then answer any questions that the board or public has. So, as we always start with you and every other school, we look at current outstanding debt payments. So this is color coded by the issue. I did make note a couple weeks ago that while the 2024B and the 2025A bonds have not been issued, they do have authorization to be issued, and so I thought this was the most realistic picture of where you guys stand now. So all those that haven't been issued, they will be issued, and that's what this will look like. This page translates to payments, not to tax rates. That's what we'll show on the next page. So even though these payments look like they're somewhat even moving forward, there will be room within the tax rate moving forward. The reason for the jump from 24 to 25 in payments is because of the assessed value increase that has already been talked about tonight. So even though those payments are increasing from 2024 to 2025, we're solving for that $1.10 tax rate as we have been for the 5 years. As we go to the next page, this looks at the tax rate. So it takes all of your outstanding funds that are supported by property taxes, adds them up to show you what that tax rate is, and the projected tax rate moving forward. So again, from 24 to 25, it's estimated that you'll stay at $1.10. Moving forward to 2026, that's when the payments from this proposed project will come on, if and when issued. So issued in 25, they come on in 26. We have split this. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. This is just preliminary. When schools do bond issues of this size, typically they can't spend the money that quickly. So we're talking about $108.5 million here. Given that it'll take a couple of years to get that project done. If you issue all the bonds at one time, you pay interest on all the bonds at one time. So the thought here would be fund these projects kind of a year at a time to minimize that interest cost, to help out the tax rate. And taxpayers as well. So while we've shown the 50 and then the balance of that in 2026, this is preliminary. We still need to get draw schedules for construction, timelines, those sort of things. So this is our best guess as of right now on how it will look, but ultimately it's probably going to be a little bit different as we get more information. Even with this broken up, you can see that the $1.10 will be achieved in 2026, and then 27 beyond, there will be additional room, additional flexibility for the 5-year plan that Mark has referenced. Last page, always the most fun, the legal parameters that you will see in your resolution tonight. I like to talk about these so that if there's any questions, we can talk about them now as opposed to having to read through the resolution by yourselves. Par amount of the bonds, this is a not to exceed number, $108,500,000. You've already number up to it, you can't go above it. Estimated maximum interest rate, we've listed at 6%. As you guys may have seen, the Federal Reserve finally brought down interest rates last week. Haven't seen a whole bunch of movement in the municipal market right now, but this is a maximum parameter. We don't expect it to be here. If you're issuing these bonds right now, you're somewhere in the 3.5 to 3.75 range. We hope by the time that you do issue these bonds at some point next year that is even lower. We're not issuing these bonds today, so we need to be fairly conservative. Anything can happen between now and then. But we have listed that at 6%. $108.5 million at 6% would give you a total interest cost of $113,965,000. Again, if and when these are issued at hopefully a much lower interest rate, that total interest cost should come down significantly. Maximum annual lease payment, that's the highest payment you can make in any 1 year. That's listed at $25 million. The 23 pay 2024, so the current budget year debt service levy, currently $30,547,678. That translates to a debt service only tax rate of 68.34 cents. The 25 pay 26 debt service levy is estimated at $34,281,383. That would translate to a tax rate in the debt service fund only of 67.56 cents. Again, these are estimates because we haven't issued these bonds, we don't have assessed value yet, so these are purely estimates. Maximum tax rate impact, as we mentioned, this is not what the taxpayers are going to see on their tax bill. This is simply the $25 million, that maximum payment you can make in any 1 year divided by your current assessed value. Does not take into account current debt being paid off, does not take into account future assessed value growth. It's simply the $25 million divided by your current assessed value. As in the past with the bond issues we've done over the last 5 years, the net tax rate impact, what taxpayers are going to see on their tax bill, they're going to see the $1.10 moving forward for the school corporation. That has been said many, many times here, but that will continue with this project. Last 2 pieces of information, school corporation's max annual payments as a percent of assessed value is 8.72%. Direct and overlapping debt, direct means school corporation debt, overlapping debt meaning all the other units that your taxpayers would pay as well. As a percent of NAV is 10.66%. Happy to answer any questions as always.
Okay,
Well, I wouldn't mind taking just a minute to sort of revisit the history of this project and what we're trying to accomplish here. I mean, basically, for those in the audience, we're wanting to build a middle school on the Twilight property that we now own, obviously to serve the students out in this area. If you remember, we had a lot of discussion about this, what, 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, about what to do with Parkview, what to do with this new middle school. We committed to building a middle school out here, but then also doing something with Parkview. Now, here's the dilemma of why we're moving on this right now is we can't do anything at Parkview until we get this middle school done. I mean, we have to get the kids off the Parkview campus in order for us to do anything down there. So there's no way to renovate that building or obviously to demolish it and build a new one down there if we don't get this one done first and get the kids off that campus, because it's just, there's not enough room down there to do that kind of work that it needs, you know. So, and I will say it one more time, Matt, that this is a tax neutral project, you know, and we'll stay at $1.10. We should be proud of that because we're getting a lot of work done and we're not negatively impacting any taxpayer in our district, which I think we all should be proud of. Because other districts around the state and even around this area can't say that, you know. So our hope is that, you know, as we go through this final process, is that we start construction next summer, hopefully April, May, something like that, and then it would be completed by 2027, the summer of 27, and then after that, we could then turn our attention to Parkview and what needs to be done down there.
We should have banners outside, staying at $1.10.
Hang on,
I don't know my forehead. All right, at this time, open up the comment portion of this meeting for any of those interested in making comments regarding the 1028 preliminary determination hearing. If you want to speak, raise your hand. You're recognized. Come on up. State your name. Okay, if no one else desires to make a public comment, I will consider this public hearing closed. And we will move on with our consent agenda. Board, do I have a motion for the consent agenda as presented?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any questions or comments regarding this? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Katie, what do you think here?
I got you, Lou.
That's good.
We have Riverside County School, just the whole school, U of L intramural sports department, stretching master PE classes in the amount of $1,000. Dendra Thomas Lambert, Emily Adams, Chris and Karen Grayson, Michael and Melissa Wright, and Dave and Chris Lee each gave money for the volleyball team for Charlestown Middle School, which is amazing. And Pleasant Ridge Elementary received 200 literacy kits from Radia's Fundamental in the amount of $8,000.
Wow.
So each kindergarten student receives 3 books, dresser, backpack, activity sheet, and bookmark, which is fun. So I move that we approve these gifts to buildings in the amount of $9,554.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstained. All right, moving right along, resolution for supplemental payment. How are you, Ms. Elton?
Doing well, how are you?
Good. Having the time of our lives here. I'm serious. Staying at $1.10, didn't you?
Beat that drum.
I'm gonna open with that on everyone. I'm sorry, I apologize.
It's okay. The supplemental pay presented is to allow payments to the teachers specified for the duties as listed. Payments have been discussed with Samantha Pierce, GCCA president.
All right, thank you. Board, do I have a motion for the approval of the supplemental payments?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Do we have a second? Thank you, Ms. Mustange. Any questions or comments from Ms. Elton? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstaining. Okay, moving right along, health insurance rates. Oh, boy.
This is good news this year. So every year we review our annual health rates with MJ, our insurance consultant, and this year we were able to do just a 1% increase, so we're very happy about that. And with that being said, that increase for a single plan is going to be 57 cents per pay, and for a family is going to be $2.85 per pay. That's very minimal, and we're very thankful for that, and so I'd like to ask for your approval for that.
Board, I move that we approve the attached health rates with coverage provided by Anthem. Could I please have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Any questions or comments from Ms. Hill? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained. Okay, moving right along, dental insurance rates.
Okay, so dental insurance is reviewed as well. We've reviewed with the insurance company. We are agreed to a 2.5% increase from Anthem in order to maintain consistency with employees. We did get a bid from Delta Dental as well. That bid was a little bit lower. However, we decided that the consistency was more important. So the range of the increase for the dental plan is 17 cents per pay to $1.40 per pay. So with that being said, I'd like to ask for your approval for our dental insurance renewal with Anthem.
Board, do I have a motion for the dental renewal with Anthem?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Mustange. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. All right, vision insurance.
Okay. Also, same as with the dental, we would like to go ahead and continue the vision plan with Anthem. The increase on this one is 3%. However, the range of the increase is anywhere from a penny per pay to 18 cents per pay. So it is very minimal. With that being said, we'd like to ask for your approval to continue our plan with Anthem for our vision insurance.
The board, do I have a motion for the,
I think we approve the vision insurance rate increase.
thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstaining. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you to Tammy for participating on all the insurance committee.
Yay.
Thank you, Tammy.
Yeah, girl. Okay, Louisville Folk School Consulting Agreement.
Yes, good evening, board. On October 22nd and 23rd, our high ability students will be participating in a field trip to the Fraser History Museum. And Mr. Matt Brown of the Louisville Folk School will work with these students while they are there for a $1,200 honorarium. His presentation will be done in conjunction with this trip. He is the education coordinator of the Louisville Folk School, and he boasts an impressive resume and has produced over 10 albums highlighting the iconic instruments included in traditional folk music. He teaches online private lessons to students around the world, and our high ability students will learn about the history of folk music and how this music relates to American history.
Awesome. Board, do I have a motion for that?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the Louisville Folk Arts School consulting agreement.
And I second that. Okay. Any questions or comments for Dr. Harpage? Okay.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it does sound exciting. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. All right, that's good. Are you back up? Is that all
That's
right?
me. Yes, I recently heard from a representative from Fort Hays State University located in Hays, Kansas. And we received the information that they have some students who are enrolled in their program who have requested, who live here because it's predominantly an online program, who would like to do some of their pre-service practicum hours at a few of our elementary schools. And we do not currently have an agreement with this university, so we're bringing this to you tonight for students to get engaged with our schools with a P through 12 experience, so we can continue to expand and recruit successful teachers.
Board, I move we approve the pre-service practicum memorandum of agreement with Fort Hays State University. Could I please have a second?
I'll second
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do we have any questions or comments for Dr. Carter? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Okay, another MOU.
The next item is the Started Up Foundation. This was shared in the DOE's newsletter. And Mr. Brian Reed reached out to our academy coaches to see if we would have someone that would be interested in sort of piloting this, and then in hopes that we can expand it if it goes well. The Started Up Foundation's Innovation Educator Fellowship is a comprehensive professional development program, and they would do some real-world projects and get year-round support, exclusive networking opportunities, and also receive materials and tools that they would use in the classroom. It's directly connected to CTE. We have a business academy teacher who basically volunteered to participate, and Dr. Evinger secured the funding to be able to pay for this from her school funds. And so we would like an opportunity to participate in this in hopes of potentially expanding it.
Awesome. Board, do I have a motion for that approval of the MOU between Started Up Foundation and Greater Park Schools in Washington Middle High?
that. I move we approve.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do I have a
Second it.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or comments for Dr. Harpage?
Sounds like a really good startup program.
Yeah, it's new, so
We'll see.
we'll see and how it goes, and we'll report back.
Good deal. Okay, all those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. All right, good deal. Thank you, Dr. Hartledge. And 1028, preliminary determination resolutions and minutes.
Board, you have held 2 public hearings concerning the new middle school project, and now it's time for your first official actions. There are 3 resolutions before you this evening. The first is what we call the 1028 resolution, which is required whenever a building in excess of $1 million has work on it. The second resolution is probably the most important one, which is called the preliminary determination. It sets out all the parameters that Matt showed you earlier as the maximums that we'd be looking at for this project. And it is the basis for what we published then in the notice that we're making a preliminary determination. The final is called the reimbursement resolution, which is something we've done with every financing, which allows that should some costs that will be applicable to this project be incurred prior to the time that we issue any bonds, you would be able to still include those costs in your bond financing as part of the regular budget. And this is an IRS requirement for any tax exempt financing. So, Mr. President, it would be my recommendation that you adopt all 3 of these resolutions. And it's at your pleasure if you do all 3 at once or do all 3 separately. It's up to you.
I would like to do all 3 at once. Board, do I have a motion for the approval of the 1028 preliminary determination resolutions, all 3 of those as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Mustaney. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining.
And we just received notice back that the notice of making this preliminary determination will appear in tomorrow's newspaper. So that'll start the 13 period.
All right, good deal. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Okey-doke. Now, with the fun games, board, any comments? Mr. Jones?
Good, thank you.
Ms. Hutchinson?
I agree, thanks.
Good deal. Ms. Mustaney?
Great tonight.
Mr. Freeman?
I'll be brief. So, on Saturday, Jeff Haban went to the Fishers band competition up in Fishers, Indiana, came in 2nd place. And also they have a fundraiser tonight at Rapid Fire Pizza. I think it's 15% goes towards them, but please go out and support them. My pizza's already been ordered and it's probably at home as we speak, so.
Well, yeah, Tricia, go ahead.
Yeah, several of us, 5 school board members attended the state school board association meetings in Indianapolis this past Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And we learned a lot, but the thing that I learned the most is that, and I truly mean this, we are so far ahead of other school corporations, not downing them, but just applauding this school corporation. You know, you would hear where they are, and I would think, well, we were there about 3 years ago. So, and we got to hear the 2 gubernatorial candidates, which was enlightening, and so we had a good time. Did a lot of networking.
I think I was just the most impressed that we're doing things correctly.
Yes.
You know, and that's just huge for us. So that's really all I have to say. I don't have any firehouse pizza waiting on me.
Rapid Fire Pizza.
Rapid fire, whatever. That's all I have.
I want to thank Mr. Clapp, he's not here any longer, for coming and speaking about, the threats and violence and things like that. I mean, I will tell you, it is something that last week and the week before consumed almost all of our time because of what was going on. It's not just here, it's across the country, across the state, but it consumed a lot of times. And I hope parents start paying a little closer attention to their child's social media and what they're doing and what they're posting and things like that. And as far as this project, middle school project, it's another needed project. not only for the growth, but also allows us to do something with Parkview. So it's been part of the plan for, the last 5-6 years that we developed 5 years ago. So I look forward to getting this going next summer and getting started.
Anything else? I would like to say thank you. Renee's done a lot. She did a lot to help us get to Indianapolis, and I heard today, and I'm sorry to do this to you all, but one of the speakers talked about 3 people that you named who really did something significant to help kids. And we look at teachers, and obviously, they're top of the list. Administrators, obviously, but nobody really significantly recognizes what she does. And that can't be replaced. So I just want to recognize it. Great job. I mean, really good. All right, hearing that, we need a motion for adjournment. Thank you, Ms. Hudson. Second. Okay, any comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.